too, because I think
It is 6 o'clock, Tuesday, March the 26th, 2024. I'd like to open this meeting of the Montgomery City Council and call this into session. We appreciate everyone viewing from the outside and those who came today. We appreciate your interest in our city. We would ask that you silence any electronic devices, turn your phones off to avoid any interruptions to our meeting as we proceed. We do have a full quorum. All members of the council are here, and staff is in place as well. With that, I'd like to invite you to stand for the invocation given by Stan Donaldson, followed by the pledges to the flags.
Heavenly Father, thank you for another opportunity to serve the citizens of Montgomery. I'm reminded in Proverbs that life and death is in the power of the tongue. And I thank you, Lord, that we use our tongue to speak life and goodness and soundness over our people, Father. That we try to have a spirit of unity with each other, Father. And I just thank you that I declare today that Montgomery City is a safe and prosperous city, and God protects us from all our enemies. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Salute to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
The Visitors Citizens Forum, I have one prepared to speak. Mr. Tom Biter, would you go up to the microphone and podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Yes, my name's Tom Biter. I live at 255 Little Dog Drive. It's in the Town Creek Crossing, adjacent to the construction and the ST. My question or statement has to do with the number 2 item on the agenda tonight, consideration possible action on a proposed cost share. And I am frankly not in favor of it. The customary thing to do is for the people doing the building, the contractor, if you will, they're supposed to accept the cost for putting a pipeline in across the property when they develop it, developer cost, and I think it should be that way in the case of the MISD cost for the 12-inch water line that's going to be put on the property so that they may have water. I also had one other question. I had a couple of them answered already, but I'm not sure exactly what a landscaping variance is and what it means for them having to ask for a landscaping variance. But I will say that they took the entirety of the acreage that they're working on and first of all clear cut it, and then they root raked it, and then they dug holes in it, and then they brought dirt in and filled in the holes, and they need to replace some trees, a lot of them, in my humble opinion. And that's really all I have to present to you all tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate your input. All right. Consent agenda is item 1. Approval of letter A, City Council Workshop Meetings 2/26/24. Item B, City Council Meeting Minutes 3/12/2024. What's the council's pleasure? Questions or comments? Changes?
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Motion's by Casey. I've heard a second by Cheryl. Motion's debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 1 of the consent agenda, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. You will approve item 1. Item 2, consideration and possible action on a proposed cost share with MISD for the CTE Center water line extension.
Thanks, Mayor. You may recall at your February 27th workshop, MISD representatives were here to talk about this and the landscape variance. So in your packets is a breakdown of the complete cost of the water line extension. They're asking the city to cover 50% of that cost, which comes out to $112,176.94. If you are okay with this cost share, the motion would be to ask the city attorney to draft a cost share agreement, which we would then execute with MISD for their proposal. Try to answer whatever questions you have.
Typically, Tom, our citizen, I would agree with you on what you stated about the cost share, but the ISD was not told about the water line having to go. They were told after all of that. We found that out when we had our workshop. So it's kind of a little bit afterwards.
So I'm going to correct you on that. They were told in August and in September, because I was privy to that in staff over here. They knew full well that they had to bring it out there, and they fought our engineers at every turn from April, because I read the emails, from April all the way to our workshop about what they wanted to do and what they were allowed to do.
Did they know that they could get a variance? That's what I'm asking, that there was an option for a variance, because that's what I'm told that they were not aware of.
They weren't interested in a variance. They wanted it their way, and that was it. That's all they would present. And that's all they still have presented.
There was that correspondence between August and actually up to October, in which staff went back and forth. Again, my comment still stands. I'm not an engineer. I'm not one legally who would review every such thing, but it seems that they knew what the deal was. I did make the point in the workshop, and I'll reiterate, we don't have at this time a consideration for a fellow governmental unit. To my knowledge, this might be a first. I mean, I don't know what's happened in the past with ISD, but they are a governmental unit, and Mr. Palmer did point out that there could be provisions moving forward that we could treat those governmental entities, particularly if it was used by both entities. I could see that, cost share. Otherwise, there's no precedent for cost share, is the way I see it. So if we make this move, even though my heart wants to do it, you're setting a precedent, right? Legal, can you chime in? Is that kind of where we're at? That my recommendation for the city is to have something to be able to do that, but it's got to be something that's defined and clear. So I'm sorry that they thought one thing, but on the other hand, they clearly thought and knew what the deal was. And so that's kind of where I'm at. But going forward, is there a way to be able to have this for the ISD? Because they have an enormous bond and a responsibility to taxpayers as we would if we were in that situation. So that's kind of where my heart is, but my mind is saying, don't set this precedent. Can you add?
This is up to council, and I don't think they're setting that precedent by entering into a cost sharing agreement. This can be considered on a case-by-case basis. Next time they present a request for the next, portion from the city of Montgomery that they want you guys to contribute, you consider it at that time. But by no means are we locked into cost sharing on every project that they do. But it's just a case-by-case basis.
But certainly you can say that given so many renovations and other costs coming forth with the school district, if we do this, then we're inclined to continue to do that. And that kind of concerns me unless we have some sort of policy, because if it's the school district now, it'll be the county next.
Yeah, so we are required, because they're in city limits, to provide water and sewer service, but we're not required to pay for it.
Right.
So
That's the standard with developers. The developers take that cost.
Yes.
And there's impact fees, and that's the standard way. So I hate to vary from that.
And it's up to council. That's council's decision here.
That's why we're here. Any other comments?
Yes. How long do you think that it would delay, if we didn't go in with the cost sharing, how long would it delay the process of that building being built? Because I think it's a real tremendous asset to our community to have that building. And I understand Tom's concern because I've been over there and seen it doesn't look good at all, but I definitely think it's an asset for the community to have the building.
So you're asking if we were to delay a decision on
Yes.
this, what would the impact be
Yes,
on their project?
yes.
You guys,
Because all of this is tax money. I mean, taxpayers' money.
I don't know if, are they waiting on a response on this particular issue to move forward?
My understanding is they're still going full speed on the project. So the latest plans that they sent us included the water line as has been required by the city, being the full route. Those haven't been approved yet, because we're also working with them on drainage issues, because obviously we don't have town creek. But my understanding is that it's in the contract to proceed with this water line, but I don't know that for sure.
Chris, let me ask you. So I understand that the city asked you to extend the water line to the furthest, most western point of the property. Is that going to be a deadhead? Are we really going to have somebody bore underneath Town Creek to go to the other side to go to Ples Morgan?
Closing the loop, yes. Going underneath would not be my recommendation.
Yeah.
I think my recommendation is how we hang it off the bridge like we did at Buffalo Springs. Gets it up out of the way so we don't have to worry about the erosion, but closing that loop is a key component. And so, we have water lines at Ples Morgan, we have water line at Ples Morgan on the west side. So, closing those, essentially connect 3 lines together at T at that location to close 2 additional loops.
And the ramifications of that are?
So it's all about pressure and redundancy. So right now, let's use Kroger for example. For water to get to Kroger, it goes down 1097, Buffalo Springs, and all the way around. Or it goes all the way through downtown and around. So closing that loop provides a redundancy for the apartment complexes and the other developments on Ples Morgan, as well as just having that feed ultimately also for the school district, because if they have a dual feed to their property versus being coming all of 1097, it would benefit.
And it's the staff's belief from an engineering standpoint, it puts undue stress on our ability to meet the needs now and especially to the
To not
future?
have that line?
Yeah.
Yes, that line is, closing that loop right now, if you, for example, if something happened at 1097, or excuse me, 1097 or Buffalo Springs where the water line is, that was damaged, in order to get water all the way back around to the school site, it would go down by Kroger and then come its way back around.
Wow. Okay.
Because the next water line, there's not a water line that connects Buffalo Springs. There's not a water line that goes all the way to CD Stewart, so it would go, a drop of water goes from the plant at 1097 down to 149, down 105 to One Star Parkway, back up and around to the school site.
And Mr. Lefebvre was here talking about there were 2 entry points, and he said that would help negate needing to go the furthest west. Is that what I'm understanding? When I spoke to him, that's what he said.
I was at the meeting, I don't recall what, he mentioned a study and an agreement. That was before my time at the city. Ever since, the 2015 master plan was done, those loops have been on the system. That water line crossing the bridge that was just completed, that was part of an agreement back in 2010, I believe, between Steve Bowen and the city. So as far as these dual entry points, I couldn't follow it. I have not had a follow-up conversation with Phil on what he was referring to.
Although I see Cyril's point, because I've been out there very much in favor of vocational education, we're all glad that it's there. Procedures, it would appear, were followed. Staff recommendation, both administratively and engineering-wise, is to not share that cost. That's what I'm hearing. And I think that would be the wise way to go, but that's why we make these votes.
Chair and Council, just one more item. I think before the last workshop, we talked about maybe some provision of the Texas Education Code that requires the city to contribute.
Yes.
And I told the school district will provide the law, and Alan and I can review it, and maybe there's some law that we don't know about. So that could still be the case. We're not aware of any law that requires us to participate in any type of cost sharing. In fact, we had numerous agreements with school districts in Harris County, and none of them were cost sharing. All of them were required to contribute and pay for their own infrastructure. So.
I remember that being said somewhere along the line. So this would be, in a sense, a precedent that you do not see anywhere else. And I would be careful to be the one that's out there doing that.
Just wanted to make mention of that.
So,
I'm sure there's other cities that have cost shared. I don't know that to be a fact.
I don't know. I'd have to guess on that one.
so I'm going to agree with Cheryl in the fact that it's not that I don't want it, right?
Yeah.
What really upsets me about the whole process is how they have approached us and how they've treated us, right? So we were all in the workshop and we sat there and we listened to him make his threats about exactly what Caleb just said, which was baseless, right? We know he stood up in front of his MISD and threw rocks at us and never ever gave us a chance before that time.
I agree that it wasn't the best presentation, but on the other hand, I feel like that we, as a city, we should always have a good working relationship with the school district.
I agree, but being bullied is not something I agree with.
I tend to feel the
Feel that
same
way,
way.
Casey?
I tend to feel the same way, you know. And I expressed that to them as well, you know. So the methodology does matter to me. So, yeah, that trust is a two-way street.
Regardless, you know, I don't think it's a good policy for us to refuse their request. I did not like the way they presented their case either, but irregardless, we need to promote some kind of unity around this place. And even if we have to bite the bullet, even though it could have been our fault, even though there could have been miscommunication on our side as well as their side, you know, I just think for the goodwill and the community that we just ought to bite the bullet and pay it if we got the money. That's my opinion. I agree with Casey that it wasn't a good presentation. We don't like to be threatened. It happens quite often, but I just think for the goodwill of the community, we ought to go ahead and contribute to this.
And it was going to be $65 a person? I think that's what we...
65, yeah.
65, yeah.
Based
What
off
year?
of
Taxpayer.
So based off of the numbers that they presented here, the 112,000, which is lower than the
Than what
original
they,
estimate.
yeah, yeah.
And then the numbers from, hold on, I did that wrong.
Yeah, that was based on
2350 is basically our
178.
population. I think it's $48
Okay.
a head, a person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
$90 a household.
Well, just to cut to it, I make the
Or
motion
more.
that we approve the proposed cost share with MISD for the CTE Center water line extension.
We have a motion by Cheryl, but I want to pause just a second. Where would the money come from?
Is that as proposed?
As-
As proposed.
I've got to get from Mary Ann, I don't know where it's from.
I'm not for the 50%, but I'm for helping them out because I've always thought that the school has helped the city out in ways that a few of us probably don't know on our hand what they really are. But I'm not for the 50%. So do you think if we lower the percentage, they're asking for the 50%?
Give them a dollar
Will
amount
they
for the
take
percentage.
what?
You're giving a dollar
I'm
amount here?
happy to go back with whatever you want to count.
The material-
Conversations we had with them was,
Right,
when we had the workshop, we never talked about percentage.
Yeah.
no.
I asked them directly after, by the next day, and
Okay.
they're requesting 50%.
All right.
So are we going to do a percentage or an amount?
So we have a motion on the floor.
We have a motion for the
Motion
full
on the
amount.
floor.
For the
We
amount.
don't have a second
You'd
yet.
have to amend it.
I would have to amend it.
40% would be 90,000.
Second.
I'm not even
You seconded? She
Okay.
said?
40%.
Hold on. We have a second by Stan on Cheryl's motion. Is that
As
correct?
Why am I going to pay
As
for the
presented?
subcontractor
As
and the
presented.
labor and the equipment?
All right, we're still in
Why can't I
discussion.
just pay half of that material?
Can I amend
Let's
the
do that.
motion?
Yes.
Half of it?
Let's give it a chance for them to talk. Okay, so
I'm sorry.
Well, and Carol, I agree with you. I'm okay with giving an amount. I think I'd rather do an amount than a percentage because that's just easier math.
Right, I don't want it to come back and it be more, and we're still doing 30% or 40%
No, I want an
or
amount.
something.
Can we
Yeah,
amend it for the amount?
The
this
amount
is
of the-
understood to be a single thing,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And they know how we feel at this point fully. So we're trying to help them out.
Yes.
The point is, to what extent? So the
Right.
motion is
You want to
full.
amend it?
Does somebody want to make an amendment to it?
I'd like to make the amendment that we not exceed 75,000.
Yes,
Yes.
All right,
I'll second.
so we have Cheryl proposing at 75,000.
Yes.
Second is by Carol. Any further discussion? Feel like that might be a reasonable compromise for now? Okay,
So the offer going back to them is up to 75,000.
up to not to exceed 75,000. That is the motion and the
Yes.
second.
And it's seconded.
All right, so all in favor of granting the amount of up to 75,000 to be proposed to the school district for item 2, all in favor of that, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. We'll approve item 2 as stated. Nice job.
Keep you posted.
Good job, Cheryl.
All right, number 3, consideration possible action on a resolution of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Texas, approving an agreement for a local on-system improvement project in accordance with Section 222.052 of the Texas Transportation Code.
All right, good evening. What this is in relation to the signal project at Buffalo Springs and 105. Since it's a infrastructure improvement that will ultimately be accepted and maintained by TxDOT, you have to enter into an agreement that says TxDOT's going to take it over after the fact. And that's what this is in front of you. As a reminder, Home Depot's covering all the construction costs of this, which we'll talk about on future agenda items in more detail. The additional cost to this, not to the city, but to the project, there's $1,067.20 by the state for their administrative costs. That would be part of the overall project cost, moved to, or back into the Home Depot share project. So what this agreement does is essentially say, if you agree to turn the facilities over to TxDOT once they're built, and they'll be there to maintain.
And that's for the stoplight only?
That's correct. There's nothing on the road. So the road, the only work within the TxDOT right away is replacing the asphalt with concrete. So this is just on the facilities of the city.
So when would that take effect?
90 days?
After completion of the project. So project will be completed, and during construction, TxDOT's involved. And then once the project is completed and acceptance and paid, TxDOT will take over the maintenance of it in the operation of it going forward.
I thought I read a time somewhere in there. It was going to hit about July.
Well, there's a whole bunch. There's 12 months, 36 months, and that's why I was like, I just didn't understand.
Yeah, there's a lot of dates and
Yeah.
it's the TxDOT agreement, so there's a lot.
Seems like July, August is when one was coming in the roadway, and then the light was coming behind it around September, if I remember
That's
reading.
correct. That's correct.
Yeah.
But the process doesn't necessarily change. So like a normal city project, pay estimates, everything go through the city using the escrow funds by Home Depot. The electricity is getting set up obviously in TxDOT's name, so we're working through that process right now. The power is supposed to be installed in May or June, and the equipment for the signal is supposed to be delivered in July.
So what was the indirect cost of 1,067?
It is, so if you look at page 43 of your packets, it's a calculation that the state comes up with based on the estimated construction costs for their kind of processing, inspection, and things like that.
It's a made-up number.
Yeah, somebody pulled that.
Right. And I was going to ask you about this cost page because I wanted to have you break it down. It has to do not so much with this 1,067, but how did our stoplight that was originally quoted to us go from 400,000 to 594,000?
The actual, again, this was all based on estimates when they put this together. It's not based on the actual contracts amount that you have for the actual construction of the city.
Okay.
So that number will change again.
So
It should go way down.
Like more?
Right.
No, less. It should be less.
Yes, the next number, 2 items, that cost is the 400.
Okay, yeah. So I was wondering why the
So this has
number.
got bumped
This
up.
isn't
Yeah.
an agreement to pay the 500 $94,000 by any means.
Right.
This is just their calculation of what is the value of that infrastructure that they're taking.
Okay. All right, because I seen estimated, but I was like, that's not nowhere near our
Yeah,
estimate. so-
it's way off.
I had a discussion with our project manager on this, and he said, you know, they use round numbers.
Okay,
Their estimates, not, you're not here required to pay that 594, where your contract is for.
whatever, right.
So Chris, when are we going to know what that number is again?
So you have a construction contract in place. So for the actual construction of the single, it's that I'll look it up here.
409.
400,000 that was previously.
Yeah.
The text Home Depot has funded. The $1,000 charge on top of that, might tweak a little bit, but we're talking $1,000 for 500. So even if that drops to $400,000, project cost, you might see, less than $100 change in that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the resolution of the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Texas, approving an agreement for a local on-system improvement project in accordance with the Section 22052 of the Texas Transportation Code.
I'll second.
Cheryl beat you by a
All
hair.
right.
Sorry about that.
You can
Motion
take
by
Carol.
Sarah,
No.
second
Take
by
Carol.
Cheryl. Motion's debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 3 as stated, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. We will approve item 3 as stated. Item 4, consideration of possible action on the reappointment of Dan Walker to the MEDC Board of Directors.
Where is Dan?
Mayor and council, as your memo states, Mr. Walker had intended on stepping down this year due to some life changes. Those weren't happening. He's going to be in the area more. He's served 2 terms. This will be his 3rd. And he's asking for reappointment.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Dan Walker to the MEDC Board of Directors.
Motion by Sarah,
I'll second.
second by Carol. Motion's debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. I've known Dan for 3 years. He's done a fine job. All in favor of approving item 4 as stated, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. We will approve item 4. Item 5, consideration possible action regarding award and execution of construction contract for the Buffalo Springs Drive roadway improvements project.
All right, good evening again. On March 15th, we accepted bids for the roadway improvements project, again tied to the Home Depot project. We received 5 bids at the time. You'll see a copy of that bid tabulation on page 50 of your packets. The project we did 2 alternates. If you remember, one was kind of the minimum distance, so to get past the turn lane into the Home Depot parking lot. One was up to their northern property boundary. So the low bid to the northern property boundary came in at $663, $115.25. I'm going to direct you to page 52 of your packets. And at the top of that, there's a table. So the whole, just as around the whole Home Depot grant had a $2 million cap for all the improvements. So this is a calculation of all those costs to date, estimated costs, construction costs, and that cap. So between the roadway improvements project, which includes a 15% construction contingency on top, it's sitting at $922,083. Signal improvements, same thing, the 15% contingency is sitting at $515,611 for a total of $1.43 million of the $2 million cap.
And our original estimate was around 1.6.
That's correct.
Good.
So overall, good news is you get the entire project done to the northern boundary. The contractor who submitted the low bid, we haven't worked with directly, but he is a spin-off from another firm that we have worked with a lot and we're currently working with on a lot of projects. So we would recommend going with that. This has been sent to Home Depot as well. Home Depot's team has reviewed it. They have also agreed with the awarding the contract.
So we agreed tonight, and basically 100 calendar days would be the end of June. We would expect the roadway to be
100
finished.
calendar days once contracts are executed and funds are deposited.
So around July.
We've already sent the letter to Home Depot, at least this, the one that's in your packet. After the award tonight, we'll send the official request for deposit letter. They're ready for it. The account's set up, which was some of the holdup last time was getting the escrow agreements and accounts in place. And then I would expect that we'll actually be able to issue the notice to proceed middle of April, which would put construction complete in August, which should be right before that and the signal project will be close to the same time.
When you say a spinoff, the bad guys go one way, the good guys go the other, or what do you mean?
No, I mean, without getting too much into the details of it, it was a family business and brothers.
Okay. I just,
So not like we're kicking you out.
yeah, okay. And you did background check or references, I'm
Yes.
assuming?
Yes. And also, one of our big components of this project was obviously the coordination between Traftex and this contractor. They have worked with before multiple times and have a good relationship. Since they'll be working right in the same location.
And where are they from? Houston? You know I was going to ask him.
I do, you always ask, and I still don't.
And you still didn't.
Are they kin?
I want to say,
Yeah, not
they're on the
always.
north side of town, I can't remember where, I think, because they're, my understanding, they're spin off from Triple B, which is based out of Magnolia. I don't know if their company is also based out of Magnolia, but my understanding is somewhere on the north side of town, but I don't know that for sure.
To the Montgomery County, yes, maybe.
Very good. We have a motion.
I make a motion to award the Buffalo Springs Drive roadway improvements project to Scythe Construction to include the base bid and alternate number 1 in the amount of $663,116.25 and 100 calendar days to achieve final completion.
Motion by Casey, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Sarah. Motion is debatable, minimal, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 5 as stated, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. We'll approve item 5 as stated. Item 6, consideration possible action on approval of construction plans for Redbird Meadows, Phase 1A.
All right, we have the construction plans for phase 1A of the Redbird Grounds development. Reminder that 3 phases, phase 1 is broken up into 3 pieces, 1A and 1B, 1C. So this is the phase 1A portion of the project. We reviewed the plans, they addressed all of our comments. Prior to this, they've also submitted, we reviewed and approved their drainage impact analysis. One question that came up, just to share with y'all, from the Historical Commission was the cemetery on Womack. So that was identified during their environmental impact, and it is being set aside in phase 1B as a separate reserve, so it's not impacted by it. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward construction plan project. Some of the highlights, if you'll remember, is they have the shared use path and the additional right-of-way shown on Old Tannersville, which is part of the development agreement. The lot lines, which are shown on the plat, but these plans are based on that, at the average 15 feet between the homes and 20% that was decided upon in the agreement. And the landscaping package will be in a separate bid set or around the detention ponds and other green spaces. It's not typical to put those within a WSD contract. And if you have any other questions, I can answer, or Micah with the engineer for the project is also here to answer any questions you may have.
It's a lot of data to go through.
There is.
Each phase has a detention pond, 1, 2, and 3.
There's multiple ponds on the site. We have like 4 or 5 total. 5 total across the entire project.
So 3 phases, 5 detention ponds. This one has 1.
2.
2, okay, that's what that is.
We approve this tonight, when are they going to get started?
Middle of May.
And this is just phase 1, right?
Just phase 1A, so there's still phase 1B,
Okay.
phase 1C. Plus 2 and 3.
So originally, we had some concerns of right-of-way on, but I believe it's phase 3 oriented. Y'all haven't had any particular concerns about right-of-way in the Phase 1 area?
Oh, no, this is not that portion of the project,
Okay,
and that is Phase 3.
right, so that comes later.
Don't see any issues.
Anyone see any issues? All right, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept item 6 as presented.
Motion by Casey, second by Stan. Motion's debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 6 as stated, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. Item 6 is approved. Item 7, consideration and possible action regarding entering into a right of entry agreement with Montgomery County MUD number 160 to allow for access for potential emergency repairs to a city sanitary sewer line.
Right. In your report, page 133, you'll see a copy of a memo kind of describing it, along with some photography or some aerials showing the issue. So, as everyone's well aware, Town Creek has erosion issues. This is another one that spurs of Town Creek as it heads up toward 1097 between Pleasant Grove and Buffalo Springs. So there is a sewer line and a water line that are existing that have both been previously cased by the city. With the recent erosion, that has become very exposed, and the sanitary manhole is now a couple feet from the bank. So this is in kind of preparation for the potential failure. We reached out to the MUD district, so this property is owned by MUD 160, which is the MUD district that covers Town Creek Crossing. They prepared the agreement. Your attorney has also reviewed it along with staff. We have no issues with it. This just gives us the right to go across their property, and so we don't have to be trying to fit within, 15-foot easement to do these repairs and the type of bypass pumping. We are working on and met with a few contractors on some long-term solutions that will bring back.
Did they identify it, or did we?
Mike, it's on one of those the list of areas of concern under
Sure.
the grant. So someone that's out there.
Where, and maybe I just missed it, is there an outline of where our easement will go? And then,
So we have over probably the best side, I don't have a full, exhibit in here. We have a 15-foot that overlaps where the utilities are. What this is a blanket of the entire Reserve L, which is everything in and around the area and the creek.
okay. So once we take that on as a utility easement, all that erosion, is that our problem?
No, so this is only a temporary right of access for emergency repairs.
Yeah.
So it's not for the permanent relocation of facilities. The idea there is, the concept right now is we move everything closer to 297. There's an easement there. We might need additional, but it will be by a separate instrument, not this one.
Okay.
This is more for, quick, if it fails for bypass pumping or hauling, so we're not limited to the small area that we have.
Okay.
Contingency plan.
Correct.
Okay.
So this is not similar to the situation where we bored under, back in May, where we had an emergency boring job underneath one of the creeks because of an exposed line. This doesn't warrant that?
Essentially, it's the same thing. The issue here is that this is a gravity line, so that was a pressurized pipe, so we can bore underneath, and pressure's going to push it back up just by gravity. So we can't just drop it below the creek without installing a new pump station, which we do not want to do. So we would rather bring it closer to TxDOT. We've been in contact with TxDOT on trying to stabilize the area to cover the utilities, more extend the culverts past the utilities, so the erosion is occurring downstream and protection of exposure.
So it's strictly for right-of-way access in case we need to get in and fix something. It really doesn't have much to do with erosion, other than the fact that it's increased in awareness of it, and we need to get ahead of it, and staff is already working on a long-term solution.
Correct.
Okay. The motions.
I'd like to make a motion to accept item number 7 as presented.
Motion by Sarah, second by Casey. Motion's debatable, amendable. Requires majority vote. All in favor of approving item 7 as stated, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. We'll approve item 7 as stated. To the departmental reports, number 8, Public Works report. Mike.
Maybe even Max.
Evening, Mayor, Council. You have my report in front of you. I'll hit on one more aspect of what Chris was saying. We do have a plan in place if that line does fail. This is going to be what we needed to install bypass pumping if we have to. We hope we don't have to, but Hayes has already received a quote for what it will cost. We have a temporary trailer that we borrowed from the city of Conroe with a 1,000-gallon tank that gives us a few days, plug it, pump it, and that's why they get bypass pumping set up. So there is a plan in place if this goes down, and we're monitoring it closely. So, excuse me. But I have a report in front of you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have related to the report.
So Mike, you and me and Julie Davis were on a text together about the leak that was reported in February in front of, over here off of Old Tannersville. And we finally, I think, got it like 3 or 4 weeks later, it was addressed. What took so long?
It wasn't our leak, it was private.
Yeah. But is it up to us to report that to the owner?
Yeah.
Okay. So it took them that long then?
Yes, yeah. Well, they were having issues with the plumber. So the story that the park owner tells me is they had a plumber come out multiple times. They couldn't identify the leak for whatever reason. They couldn't find it. Julie had texted me a couple of times on it. I was immediately notifying the park owner about it again. The last day that she texted me is the day that it, we'll call it, blew loose. So it went from a small leak and it blew wide open during the middle of the day.
Okay.
And that's when I got a text.
Yeah.
That day.
So at the beginning of the day, after the third call on this, I sent our foreman over there. I said, go find the leak. Go find the leak. Tell me where it's at so I can report it back. He went over with it within a couple of minutes. He called me and said, it's at a porch post. It looks like they set a post, hit a line, and that's where it's at. So he marked it. I contacted the park owner again, suggested that she get a different plumbing company, and then throughout the course of the rest of the day, it's whenever it blew open, and that was the video that was seen, and she ended up finding a plumbing company that came out that night and got it fixed. In fact, I got an email at I believe it was 11:23 that night that said, just want to let you know we got it fixed and everything's back up.
Okay.
I know that we had talked about this in the past, like what to do after business hours to get in contact with you. This was another great example of how does one get in touch with you? Or is calling you, I think you get a stipend from the city, so should people call you on that? Or is there a phone number that's better?
The main number to call for any issues is called the main city hall number. Because the after-hours answering service will take over. They will in turn contact Hayes and or myself if there's an issue.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay, and then last council meeting, I asked about the fence, which was told, I guess on the Facebook post, it was a handrail. Dave sent out an email, it's a handrail. And funny enough, it was still Julie, talked about ADA compliance in the park with handrails. And so that handrail, I looked it up and it's not ADA compliant. And it's in the middle of our town. It's wooden, ADA compliant, it says you cannot have a 2x4 as a handrail, and the height is not ADA compliant, nor the materials, or it's not rounded on the end. So I didn't know if we should put in a ADA compliant handrail there, since the city deemed it, I guess, or somebody deemed it was necessary. Patty, something?
Well, Patty perceived the concern about it. Patty didn't tell us to do it. We did have an on-site meeting with Gary, myself, and Patty. The story that I got was that there was a lady that had tripped and fell off the sidewalk. We later learned that was in a different area, but it was an immediate need that we saw, hey, let's get this fixed. Let's keep people from stepping off the sidewalk in the dark and possibly injuring themselves. Should it be ADA compliant? Yeah, it should be. We'll check that out and see what the requirements are on that. we did check the height, and
The height is like 42.7. I had a picture I took today, and ADA compliance said the handrail's got to be between 32 and 34, or 34 and 36 inches, and that one's at 42.7. And it says the material has to be that pipe that you see going down, or metal, well, it said pipe. Usually when you see a wooden handrail like that they have to have a pipe around it. There was pictures. Anyway, I can show you where I found it. But I just wanted to clarify, because if it is a true handrail, then we need to make sure it is ADA compliant.
I mean, it was not built as a fence, it was built
Okay.
The barrier.
people from stepping off.
Yeah.
I was going to
Maybe
say,
the
why would
barrier
you have
was
to
better.
be
Barrier is
ADA
better word.
compliant?
Yeah.
Well, it's been called a handrail.
It's a barrier.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
but everything I've seen says a handrail. Our post says a handrail.
here's the thing.
So I was just
If it
saying,
is a handrail,
if it is a handrail, then it needs to
We
be
should be able
compliant.
to just add the pipe and be done.
I think it's a barrier for
I think it's a
people.
barrier,
I think barrier is a better word to describe what it is.
but maybe it can
That's-
identify as a rail.
Yeah. Well, if you just add the pipe, it's both, right? So there you go.
Well,
Keeps people from walking
Okay.
over the plants.
And one more thing. Kevin Barnes' building, I know you did a great job around the community center. I love that you painted the bumpers. I think you can see them now.
really
It's
good.
awesome, and the white really stands out. Could we do that in front of Kevin Barnes' building, since that's public parking? Because I know there was a lady that broke her ankle there, and there's been about 5 people that have face planted.
Yes, sir.
Face to
So
Yeah.
what I asked Mike to do was to do that template, so that I was gonna bring it to a workshop to let you guys know, this is what we're planning. We want to expand this into all the public parking areas, but we didn't want to do that without having some sort of.
Gotcha.
I think it looks great, and
Yeah.
when you walk out, I mean, hopefully nobody else face plants on public.
Yeah,
We had a good plan for the spot in front of the Slice Amish.
Well, and it's over there in front of Barn Vines too. That's where some face plants, because if you look, there's just, if they park a car, it's like this much sticking out. I would think that you would see it, but people don't see it, and there's not red handrails down
The
his.
entire is just not conforming.
No, yeah. Can we have him put handrails in?
Yeah, we looked at it, and we have a plan to actually to remove that parking stop.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I'll let Gary,
Either that or turn it that white color. That looks great. You can see it.
yeah, that's part of the plan too.
Good. Okay, either way.
Kind of
I
every
just,
other, or every third Texas flag, white, Texas
beautiful.
flag, white.
Love it.
So that would also be on 149 in front of the Davis Cottage?
Well, it's public parking,
We can
right?
do it anywhere that's considered public parking.
That is public parking.
I think what the staff is hearing, and I don't know if we need a workshop, I think we're all in favor of the look and identifying public parking. I don't think we need a workshop, that's my opinion. Is anybody opposed to that in council?
I don't think we do
So
either.
go
Just
for it,
paint
it's
them.
making it look really
Yeah,
good.
it looks
and
great.
It serves the purpose of identifying public spaces, which we
100%.
talked about as a need, so good job.
100%.
It doesn't have the goat on it, does it?
Oh, please.
Yes. Both sides.
Let's go, just don't go there. All right,
Yes, thank you.
Thank y'all.
very good. Item 9, utility operations report.
Evening, council. Good report today. The report is that we have a planned usage of 9.734 million gallons this last month. Your flow average was 231,000 gallons through the plant, and you are in compliance with your discharge permit with the state.
Like
Excellent.
that.
Our plan worked, and we are planning on maintaining it in compliance with the state.
Very good.
That's all I have real quick.
So I just have one thing. I see our accountability
Thank
is
you.
is a little bit lower.
gonna ask that.
About 5% lower than what we're used to.
Yeah.
4 to 5%.
Yep.
Sure. Well, one of the things is that we do a lot of flushing, and that number that I put in there for 500,000 gallons is an estimate. So, you know, when I'm looking at those numbers, I'm kind of pulling a number out of midair a little bit. Now, I can get a little closer, maybe if we try doing some meters and things like that, it would probably be a little extra expensive, but I figured we're over 90%, we're doing pretty good. You guys?
Matt, I just want to hit on that because we talked about this last week.
Yeah.
So we send a water accountability sheet to Philip once a month. We go to Beacon, we compare the water sold to the water pumped. We account for our flushing numbers, and then we send that number to Philip, which he adds to on his flushing. What I've noticed is the last handful of months, our accountability number has been lower than what it used to be before we sent it to the operator. Our admin assistant brought this to me and said, hey, look, our number's dropping. And exactly what I told her is what he just said. This is a sign of more flushing. It could be more loss, but it is a sign of more flushing that they're doing, which is a good thing. I can say that our number of water quality complaint calls have gone way down. We're not getting them now like we were.
Good.
So with continued flushing, the smell that has appeared in the water, will it go away? Because it doesn't smell good right now.
You're experiencing issues right now?
Yeah. Probably the last 3 or 4 days, it's not
Yes.
chlorine. I wish it was chlorine.
No, it's not
It smells like
chlorine.
chlorine.
Oh,
And
okay.
this is at your personal residence? Okay, I'm gonna get with Mike and we're gonna figure out exactly
Yeah.
where that's at and make sure that we're.
It's not discolored like it has
No, it's
been,
clear.
but it
It's
just
not- it does not
smells.
smell good.
Yeah,
No.
it just smells.
That's interesting. What kind of, how would you describe the smell?
Eggs.
Rotten.
Eggs, sulfur.
So like
Sulfurish,
type
yep.
smell. Okay, that could be a combination of various things. It could be the where you're at
Do you
with
have
your
any
chemical right now, when you're talking about your residual of chlorine in the water, or it could just be water age, which is a flushing thing that we can flush. So I'm gonna look into both of those and we'll see what we can find,
Thank
figure
you.
out on that. But with the large diameter mains that you have right now that go throughout the whole system, and with the, essentially, you've been planning for the future, right? You've had big mains installed, and those big mains increase your water age, because you don't use as much as what we normally use on those large mains. If you're planning for the future, you've got big growth coming all around, including that loop that I was talking about. That's a big part of water quality, is you have that loop in there.
Eliminating
So-
those dead ends.
so it's just something we're always needing to monitor, and that extra flushing is something that's critically important for this particular water system at this moment. When you guys grow and you get bigger, it'll be a lot less necessary, but that's where we're at right now.
Cool.
But I'm gonna look at y'all's water quality.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you for your efforts.
Uh-huh.
Item 10, city engineer.
Again, starting on page 141 of your packets. Water plant number 2 improvements, that design will be complete within the next few weeks. I received the final impact or the final plans earlier this week for my final review. Lone Star Groundwater District, still working with them, going back and forth a couple times a week on getting the permits in place. The 2023 sanitary sewer rehabilitation phase 1 project, that pipe bursting work that we discussed a few weeks ago will start likely next week. We're getting the final detailed schedule from the contractor. Water plant, or excuse me, the phase 2 rehabilitation project bids tomorrow morning. So we'll have the bid results at your April 9th meeting for that project. That is one of the CO funded projects. Lift station number 10 improvements, which is the Pulte upsizing of the force main. We had that pre-construction meeting last week. We had a second one on site this morning and issued the notice to proceed. So that one will get started here. I believe they're wanting to probably start next week on that project, depending on material delivery. Other highlight portions, you're on page 2 of our report, item number 11, the TPDS permit. We expect to have that final approval in April, so next month, within the final permit in hand by July. We talked about Buffalo Springs. The wastewater treatment plant expansion RFQs have been received, reviewed, scored. We're doing a final recommendation with staff, and that will also bring to you at the next April meeting for your review. Next section goes through all the developments, a lot of feasibility studies in the works. One that is not yet is AGV. We're waiting on their deposit. That should be any day now. I know there's been correspondence over the past few days about getting that check in. Plan reviews are all listed. We did have a call with NISD yesterday to talk about drainage. I kind of mentioned that earlier, and where they're tying in and making sure that we're as correct as we can on the road at their tie-in location. Related to that, Montgomery Bend's Atkins Creek improvements. Again, for erosion, they did that project. They're wanting to proceed with construction here in the next few weeks. We're working through some final design considerations and get a couple additional sets of eyes to make sure that what they put in is going to be a long-term solution. On page 4, we did return both NISD Fuel Center and Coastal Concrete 5 earlier this week. So those are back in the developer's court. Plots are listed. The next P&Z, which is next week, we expect to have the preliminary plot for the Lone Star Parkway project, which is the Taylor Morrison development, as well as the final plat for Montgomery Bend Section 2. And remember, this is the one where they pay the impact fees at platting, so we would expect, another large impact fee check here in the next few weeks, once that's processed and recorded. And all the rest are pretty kind of standard items that are on here. Last one that I'll hit is on page 6, your impact fee updates. We presented a final draft report at the last CIAC meeting. We'll probably have it go through the timeline again within next week, and then it'll be on the council's either the next agenda or the following to start holding those public hearings in the required state code to make sure that you're in compliance with doing that update. Generally, what it works out to is about a $300 increase, which is about 8% over a 5-year time period. So not too drastic of an increase. And last page 147 of your packets, you'll see updated development maps. So this is just everything that's going on in your city currently, color-coded by what stage it is in. And that's all I have for you.
Hey, Chris, HEB, Texas brand, home, San Antonio, they're building on the home place of Charles B. Stewart. Want to get ahead of them and making sure that this HEB honors the birthplace of the Texas flag and honors that that's his home place. And if we could have something different than any other HEB, I mean, I know it's an ask, but that's what I want to ask. I don't know if it's like, 100 huge flags waving over it. I don't know, but something, a Charles B. Stewart statue out front, like the Bucky, but Beaver, but something I'd like to ask them before they get to the decide. I don't want to drop it.
The next steps with HB is once they're deposited for the feasibility study, there's already going to be utility extensions required, which typically turns into a development agreement. So, that vehicle for having those discussions and the consideration of monumentation like was done with the HEB project, same thing where they put in those public utilities and negotiated the sign that's there around the bank. There's going to be an agreement that can be at least discussed.
Like everybody dressed up as Charles B. Stewart inside that works, something. Tells his life story, something. Because I just think it's very special.
But HEB is very, I think they're very cognizant of the fact of history and the places that they are.
Well, do you know that, do they know about this place?
I don't know.
I don't know if they know, but I just want to make sure that that is front of mind. I think it's important.
But there's a historic plaque.
Yeah, since we've already gotten those inquiries, it's good to know that publicly, that staff is aware of such things in the negotiations, so good job.
If they do everything that's going to go,
Will you make sure that Chris gets that email from Larry Forrester that you and I got over the weekend? Thank you.
All right. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11, finance report.
Tell Catherine she needs to bring the baby.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You see a little different tonight. We put the utility permit and sales tax all under this because they're all finance functions. So I don't really have anything as far as the financial report. I don't have any concerns anywhere. You will see a different component in your report, which is the pool cash report. That's in place of the cash analysis report that you were receiving in the past. Basically what this is doing is showing you your cash and bank balances. Difference with this report is you get to see the account versus just a number like you were seeing in that cash analysis report. So the portions of that include your claim on cash, which is of the money in that report, what fund has a claim to the money in those bank accounts, okay? The middle portion is your cash and bank. Those are cash balances in your bank accounts. You have 2 reports under pool cash. You have the pool cash regular, which is the general funds at the depository bank at First Financial. The other is a pool cash report dealing with your investment accounts. Okay, so the next page, which is page 154 of your packet, is all of your tech school accounts. It shows you what those items are. questions about the financial report itself?
Mary Ann, on that page 152, on that claim on cash, so something that popped out at me, the hotel occupancy fund,
Yep.
the hot taxes. So it says beginning balance is $4,395. Then it states current activity is $22,965 with a balance of $27,000. Okay, so,
Okay, so let me just.
yeah, tell me about that.
Yep.
So remember, pooled cash just went into place in February. It's going to take until probably next month or the following month for us to have a pattern within here. Because we had to move balances from your previous claim on cash or your cash in bank into this pooled cash environment. So in this particular report, it's really hard for us to be able to look at it and say beginning balance because truthfully, as of January 31, your beginning balance in a claim on cash account for all of these was 0.
So this is still kind of wonky and a little bit off.
It's going to be a little wonky.
Okay.
Next month, we should be able to see it at a better snapshot because it will, we've gotten through February, we're working fully in the pooled cash environment in the month of March. But we converted on February 2nd, no, February 4th. And so we had to move balances and those due to, due from accounts had to get cleared out. And so there's all kinds of kind of background things.
Okay.
And so the April, for sure, the May report, we should be able to look at this and see like a really strong pattern of how that's working. We haven't received any motel.
I was gonna say, did we finally get all of our back hot taxes paid up?
That's evident if you look at your actual, the actual report that starts on page 160, your true budget report. If you look in that budget report and look under your hotel fund, which is on page, find it here. On page 167, fund 800. This is where you would see if you have any activity during the period. Okay, so if you look at your revenue, taxes and franchise fees, and even under the hotel occupancy, those are 0. So there was no activity in that period. The only activity is the interest that was posted. Okay, so that's, you kind of have to marry those two in order to fully understand.
So we're still not getting the taxes from Airbnbs.
So all of our reporters currently are quarterly.
Okay,
So we wouldn't expect to see.
so we should, then when's the next quarterly report? Is that next month?
May.
We should
May?
see
Yeah.
a report for January, February, March with payments arriving in April.
Okay,
So that will be coming to you in May.
May.
okay, all right, okay. And we still have those people looking for that, right, Gary? I just know we're missing out on those hot taxes. All the Airbnb stuff, we still have, I thought we'd sent.
Somebody told us they
Someone
were
that
still
they were going out
pursuing that because
pursuing
we've been
it.
trying to pursue it for.
It may be
2 or 3
SRI, I
years.
can't remember.
It's as of our, I have a meeting with them again tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
My concern right now is that the program that they would like us to sign up for that identification, based on their projected revenues that we should receive, we're paying them 40% in order to receive that. And I'm not good with that.
Yeah, no, that's
Right,
crazy.
that's too high.
So we have a meeting tomorrow about that.
So then if we don't use SRI, I know we had signed up with somebody else to find these, we haven't gotten any, and we're getting more and more Airbnbs, and it's a great funding
The hotel
mechanism.
is monitored, is handled through ASVAR.
Yep,
which is
that's right.
different than SRI.
And we've never had anything, we voted them in 4 years ago, and then,
Yeah, we've got nothing in return.
and they have nothing in return.
We're definitely looking at it.
Okay.
We see that on our end.
Okay.
Yeah, we're looking into it.
So I just have a couple things, Marianne, just to make sure I'm looking at this correctly. Our fiscal year is roughly 50% over, right?
We'll be at the end of this month.
End of this
yes.
month. we're basically only 28.5% through our budget. Is that right?
We're doing really well.
Yeah, so we're doing extremely well. My question there is, what are the big spends that I'm not seeing that are still coming? Does anybody have any idea?
Any projections?
Any big
She's
spends
laughing, she
coming?
does. She's got a list of.
That's something that I'm actually, what I've spent the afternoon looking at,
Okay.
is what kind of things are we projecting
In the next
to
6
still
months.
see
This year,
happening.
yeah,
We've got some big things that.
okay.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I was looking at that right. We're halfway through the year, we've spent 20% of our budget, which is fantastic, but that tells me there's some big lurking monster out there. that's gonna
We've been
jump
very
out.
conservative until
That
now.
come out
Yeah.
over the next couple of months.
Okay.
To what degree is our favor that we're seeing a matter of impact fees, timeliness, and impact fees that are due that are not coming in, that are not pulling from our capital projects, our big enchiladas? Does that have anything to do with how we're doing so well? Because, I mean, I would expect to be 40% at least in the budget, and I guess that's Casey's concern as well.
So remember, your capital projects are not seen in your operational.
Okay.
fees,
Right, so this is just.
So this is just operational,
Yeah,
so-
this is operational budget.
Yeah, the main focus at this point is operational, because again, your capital projects are not operational items,
Right.
they're multi-year type things, so it's a
Yeah.
little bit
I don't
different.
think, I don't bring that
And
in.
as
just
far
for
as,
ops.
and again, like impact fees are not something that you expect to see evenly throughout the year, right?
They come in waves.
We're trending great on like our water revenue, we're trending great on our sales tax revenue. Property tax is slightly down, however, I will tell you based on the reports that we got from the tax office last week, we've had value put back on the roll for properties that were being contested, so that's helpful. We will start to see some more of that come up. We're not real far off in those projections currently. But those items that you routinely see, we're trending higher than what we budgeted.
Right, so yeah, that was my next point. Well, let's talk about the property taxes being lower. That's totally understandable, right? We just had a gigantic tax cut with the homestead bill that went through. So that's, I mean, it's great that the homestead bill went through. I'm thrilled about it, so I'm okay with that going down, right? You know, I think everybody would be agreeable that less property tax is better. But what I did notice is that we are trending quite a bit higher on our projected revenue, about 13-14% than our projected revenue, which is good. So,
Yes, we, like I said, we're doing very well. We're very healthy on the revenue side, and departments have been definitely conservative in the expenses that they've been making. We do anticipate, one of the things that's in the budget are the PD vehicles. They have not happened yet. Like, we're still waiting for vehicles, and so once that happens, that gets paid for, right? So there's a variety of those type of things along the way.
okay.
And when you came here, you told us something very valuable for the council moving forward on projections and whatnot of how many appeals of the tax rate. If I remember right, there was 19% of what you anticipated coming in was then appealed. And then, so do you have any pulse on that going into the planning session about how much would be?
I have not had a
Percentage?
conversation yet with the tax office.
There were a lot of people, there were a lot of taxpayers hot, and they went in and they reevaluated and things of that nature, so I'm expecting that to be high.
I'm not sure what we still have, and that's still under protest, I'm not sure what
Okay.
that percentage is.
But it is something you'll get in next few months, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
good
Yeah,
deal.
so I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't seeing something wrong, because overall, I think we look really good.
Really good.
It looks really good, so, yeah.
All right, nice job.
All right, any questions on the utility permit report?
On that report, tell me payroll liabilities is a revenue? Why?
Yeah,
What is that?
One thing that I'll just mention on this report when you see this report from Utility General Fund Report, these are items that are coming through cashiering. So they're different than what you would expect to see maybe like on that budget report. For example, one of the things is going to be like franchise fees. Franchise fees that are taken in through cashiering, if you look at that budget report, we've taken in more franchise fees than what's here because we get franchise fees in the back end as well.
Right.
So this is just what's come through cashiering. This payroll liability was revenue. It was a refund check from the IRS.
That doesn't ever happen.
Yeah.
Well,
How can I sign up for
kind of
that?
happened in error. So in quarter 2, there was just a lot of things that went on with payroll liabilities. Payroll liabilities are required to be paid through the EFTPS site. When your finance person left and those payroll liabilities were being paid, they were being sent in by check, which caused some confusion. That confusion spilled over early into quarter 3 with a check that was coded to the incorrect quarter. So the payment should have been coded to quarter 2. It was coded to quarter, no, it should have been to quarter 3. It was coded to quarter 2. The IRS said, no, you were good for quarter 2, so here you overpaid us.
$18,000.
19,000.
19.4.
Which it really wasn't. It should have been put into quarter 3.
Yes.
But they sent it as a refund.
Got it.
So we deposited the refund. Of course, they come to us and say, hey, you shorted quarter 3 and you owe us money. So we had to pay that money.
Okay.
And we are also asking, I sent a letter to them in February asking for them to waive that penalty because you can see the pattern of what had happened with our payments. So I've asked for that. So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
But that's
I just
what
knew
that amount is.
payroll liability was
You
not
don't
a
normally see that,
refund per se. I know you owe it. So it's like, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you.
Very good.
All right. And then your SRI report. Any questions on that report? Sales tax?
Construction are all the winners. They're the highest tax-paying
Yeah, there's
entities.
a lot of building going on, and
Yep.
it's reflecting that.
Yep. I did not dive into that information any further after last night's workshop, but we will definitely be looking at that with the current reports and seeing where we're at.
On the city account water usage for February, it says city cemetery closed.
I've seen that too.
What does that mean?
Maybe one of you two will
Closed?
help.
Yeah, we closed that account out. That meter was put in 2015 and has had 0 usage on it. All these years, we're paying $12 a month for an account to sit there and no one to use, so we closed it out.
Right over here.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, but not one tenth of a gallon has gone through that meter in that many years.
Yeah. They didn't want to pay for it, so
Well, the city.
they
was
never
paying
used
that.
it.
The city was paying that.
But at once upon a time, the Cemetery Association paid for that meter.
Oh.
But they hardly ever used it. Donald
Yeah.
Duncan would mow and take care of the cemetery, but he's not doing that anymore. So
Yeah.
I just want, but the meter is still there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I don't know the history on what they pay for. I just know that
Right.
we were paying for it. It was on our summary every month
Gotcha.
for all the city accounts, and I kept seeing that $12 every month, and the meter was never turning, so I requested to turn it off.
Okay,
And
that's fine. I just,
Did they ever come over and request?
when it
for
said closed, I was like, no. Cemetery ain't closed.
No, the cemetery's not closed, but.
Still in business. Still in business.
Is it open for business?
People die in the week. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't think so.
All right, item 12. 2024 February court report.
Hi, Kim.
Kimberly.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. The February report for citations, we had 139, and the collections was $32,997.74. We also ran our MC program, we're still running it through April the 23rd, and I'd like to thank the police department, the chief, and Sergeant Boyko, because they allowed their VIPs to come in and help us make more roundup phone calls.
Oh, man.
Any questions to the court?
Did you have a lot of on-site payments right then and there when they made the calls?
Yes, we did. Yes.
Okay.
We waived some fees and they were gonna pay right then, so they got their warrant fees waived.
Nice.
Good.
That's good stuff. I like free labor.
All right, item 13, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. You have my report in front of me. If you have any questions, I'll answer those questions. I put a paper in front of all you guys. Texas Department of Emergency Management is taking this thing around the state of Texas. There's a 3-hour course designed to introduce county judges, commissioners, mayors, city council members, and others, elected officials to Texas Emergency Management. To all 4 phases. It's a 3-hour course. It's actually a pretty good course. And so when there is an emergency, you guys understand how those phases go, what needs to take place in those phases. And a lot of times it has to do with some financial burdens as well. So it's a good course for you guys to take. If you have time, it's in 3 hours. You guys get a voucher, take a trip.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday.
Do we sign up through you?
Yeah, do we tell you who
How do we
want to
sign
You
sign
can register right there, that's why I gave that information.
Okay.
Oh, I see how that works. Is there a website?
It doesn't show the
It doesn't
cost.
say where to, it says no tuition is charged, so it's free.
Oh, it's free?
Yeah.
Just gotta get yourself there to
There you go. And Sam used to, where is it? So it's in Huntsville at the statue. Okay, gotcha.
So normally
All
neighbor.
right, that's great.
Big good thing, so you guys, you go, let us know. And
Yeah.
We'll,
It's good stuff.
probably go out there with you guys. That way.
I'm gonna go.
Bounce off us.
Yeah.
I'm letting you know, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, same
I may
here.
actually try to attend.
I'm gonna go too.
Okay, yeah, it's a good deal.
Check my website.
What time of day is it, do you know?
This is the morning, start probably about 3 hours. So you'll be out,
8 o'clock in the morning, good Lord.
That's works for me.
In Huntsville?
Yeah, set your alarm.
Chief, where did you say we could go register ourselves?
Well, it doesn't say it on here. No, it just, no, but we can go get Google.
Just send me an email, I have a good restaurant.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Email chief.
You just sign us up.
I'll get y'all registered.
Yeah, me,
Y'all sit right next to each other.
that'd be great. Get Montgomery known real well.
There you go.
Chief,
Thank you.
did we, there was a lady on the news a couple weeks ago that was sex trafficked, held against her will, found outside of Fredericksburg. Was she a resident of our town or outside?
She
Because
is
it
right
had,
outside of our town.
okay, it said Montgomery, Texas, and I was just
She
curious.
lives right outside the city limits.
Okay.
And they were calling us, what we did is we found out where that location was. It's within our EPJ.
Okay.
But we sent it to the sheriff's department. She's back here in town, but she's gonna be waiting trial. They didn't charge her yet in Gillespie County, but the guy she's with, over there, so.
Oh, yeah, well, he didn't wake up.
And they took to find her, so we found her here.
Okay.
She's back here.
Was that online dating? Can you give us like how that came about? Or those people knew each other?
They've been on each other for
Okay.
a couple of years. That's
All right,
why
just making sure it wasn't,
Absolutely not. And,
So that's
making sure she wasn't pulled out of Kroger. That's all I wanted to make sure.
So when she was kidnapped by somebody she knew.
Yeah, yeah.
On
go
a
missing.
more positive note, we had the Mudbug Festival this weekend. I visited with several officers. That appeared to go well. I don't know of any bad reports.
No, we had a short briefing on Monday. there's some things that they'd like to see changed, but that's going to be on the promoter's part as well. Because I understand, we had two guys that were behind the stage, and once the main entertainment came on, then they wanted the guys up front of the stage, which means to take away from where else we got people at. So there's a couple of things. Parking, the big bus, we let it park on the street because how wet it was. So there's some things, it's always some things when you're dealing with these events, you have to come back and kind of look at the next change.
Traffic flow was excellent.
Yeah, it did flow pretty well.
I've heard great things.
People off their cars, so,
Perfect. I noticed the arrest went up on DWI's, good job.
yeah.
Go ahead.
On the code enforcement cases,
Yes, ma'am.
wrecker services, 4 of them. What would that be code enforcement for?
You said record service?
Wrecker services?
Oh, wait, no. We've got code enforcement. We've got a new record of service that's put in all the paperwork to come to town. They'll have a place, storage place right off of 1097. They've already done all their paperwork with the county and anything that with the state. We're not taking them through our process. So I had her working on that process, making sure they were with the ordinances that we got. We're changing some of those ordinances because there was some fineage in there, some fines that they need to pay. And then we're also bringing stoves back in.
Oh, good.
We need to make sure that we know who these drivers are.
Right.
We're going to also give them, we're making them a badge for the city, so we'll know that they're able to show here within the city.
Nice.
So that's what you see there. We just had
Good.
utility work.
I was like, oh, what are the wreckers doing now?
No, it's just another man.
All right, thank you.
Anything else?
Just in what I spoke to you before, that I said I would make a public statement on, I had a couple of inquiries come in. What's the city going to do in anticipation of April 8th? Okay, evidently it's a big deal.
What is April 8th?
It is a big
It's the
deal.
solar eclipse.
Oh, yeah.
It is the solar eclipse. I just wanted the public to know that the city is on top of it. But no, we don't have any, evidently, if you go to Lampasas, Austin area, you get an extra 20 minutes of viewing. It's a big deal to a lot of people. I ain't going there, I'm just saying. If there is any traffic flow issues, Chief is already poised and ready to make any adjustments necessary. If there's a holdup at the light, I think that's the main thing, the 2 lights, because there's going to be a westerly flow of Harris County people going out to see a once-in-a-lifetime event. I guess I get that, but anyway, just know that we've been apprised of it, and we're on top of it. So
What are the 3 places in Montgomery that's allowing people to come and look at it? Jim Square, the library,
I'm not sure about the
and
others.
City Halls?
But I know Jim did. I'm not sure about Kroger because
I can't remember what was on the flyer.
what we're
That
mainly
the
concerned
library
about is if people
put out.
start to stop and
Yes.
hold down traffic.
Right.
it's the traffic stops.
But other than that, I'm not sure who's saying that you can come to our.
I don't, it's not going to be much.
We will take it.
And I would think that maybe an emphasis for us is make sure they're not parking somewhere downtown, taking up several spots, and now the business owners are going to be upset.
Well, they should go over there and have lunch after.
Well, that could be a
Go
good
shopping.
thing, but
It's from like 12:30 to 3?
12:30 to something, yeah.
Yeah. So see, just in time for lunch.
Yes, that'll be the best time to see.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
We got it.
Okay. Just wanted the public to know. We got it. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We need a motion to approve items 8 through 13, departmental reports.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Carol, second by Casey. Motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. All in favor of approving departmental reports, items 8 through 13, say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed, say no. And we will approve the departmental reports. We still have no items for executive session, is that correct, staff? Correct. All right, so we're moving on to council inquiry.
Does Gary have anything? Gary, do you have anything?
Okay?
I have something.
Yes, go ahead.
Dan?
I just want to thank Simmons Bank for finally coming in compliance about our Texas flag.
Yes.
You know, my wife and I were traveling down the highway, came across the hill, and big old flag was standing out there, and my wife started smiling. And anything makes her smile, I am for it.
Your day went better then, didn't it?
Happy wife, happy life.
Oh, yes.
Gary, at one point, we talked about changing the terms of our terms.
Yeah.
Where are we on that? Are we doing that, not doing that?
I know that it's, Caleb's going to have to help me, but I think if there's a legislative process that
Okay.
goes on.
I think that you should.
General law says
Yeah.
you'll be allowed, I think it's a max of 4 years.
Yep, that's right.
So it's, I gonna guess, it has to go through some sort of legislative process with y'all.
Yeah, or does it have to be on the ballot? Do you know, Caleb? Is
I
that,
don't believe it has to be on the ballot.
okay.
I think we
For some reason, I thought it
ran into
did.
issue with the staggered terms and
Yeah,
something
yeah.
along those lines.
I think we
Refresh my memory.
talked about going for a 3-year term and
So it'd be
doing it
2, 2, and
every,
2.
yes, 2, 2, and 2.
So you do it
Every
every
other
year. Yeah, but you would, instead of wiping the whole council out.
Correct.
Or 50% every year, basically.
Right.
You would have 2
Yep.
years.
I just didn't know where we were with that, if we were moving forward with that or what the next steps were.
I'll follow up.
I thought it was on ballot.
So this isn't really inquiry, but it's more of a fun fact. So with the Home Depot cost down about 200,000 from estimate, that should put us to about 18 months on that no interest loan. So another fun fact, for every $40,000 you save, it knocks a month off of that, so.
Good.
I mean, well, I think it's 150,000 in contingencies that are sitting on that,
Good.
too. It's 15% on top of each.
So we could ultimately fairly easily be at 12 months, so that's fantastic.
Yep,
That's a good
that's a
deal.
very good.
Very Bites on Prairie. I think, Dave, you said it was going on the 22nd, is that right? Or, I forgot the dates you gave
I
us.
would like to get it out this Friday, if I can.
Oh, okay, oh, okay.
National Prairie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be publicly bid.
Yeah.
There are people that are interested
Sure.
in asking about it, but it's got to be.
Okay. I just didn't, where are you listing that?
Probably just in our newspapers.
Oh, okay, just curious. I couldn't remember the dates that Dave gave us, not, for some reason I thought, I just didn't know if we had any bites. Okay, good.
Good. Anything else?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
7:27, we adjourn.
That's a good deal right there, boss. 12 months.
Yeah, it was great.
No cost of training.
That's right.